10th, 1993, right after what other new show? Does anybody know?
Frisco County?
Frisco County is right. Which you guys may remember fondly, but it only ran for 27 episodes, whereas The X-Files went on to run for 9 seasons and won a George Forster Peabody Award in 1997 for excellence in broadcasting. So much has been written recently about what the New York Times in tomorrow's paper calls the, quote, current cultural preeminence of television. The X-Files was in the vanguard of that creative revolution, with intricate, artfully crafted stories of suspense that so perfectly captured the zeitgeist of the time. The X-Files indisputably belongs in the pantheon of great paranoid thrillers, not just from television, but all the arts, like Don DeLillo's Running Dog and Alan J. Pakula's Parallax View. And with all that's going on in the news these days, it's hard to imagine a better time to explore the legacy of the X-Files, or better yet, to bring the X-Files back. Clearly, it's time for another X-Files movie. Do you guys agree? That's what's so great about X-Files fans. They're strongly opinionated. The show was simultaneously evocative of its time and ahead of its time. Mulder and Scully were heroes not just for their time, but for all time. And that was the real key to the show's phenomenal success above everything else. Mulder and Scully, 2 exceptionally compelling characters portrayed by 2 exceptionally talented and charismatic actors, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, and we're honored to have both of them here tonight. But before we bring them on stage, you have about 2 or 3 minutes left of me. First of all, our very sincere thanks to Melanie Green and Steve Nosikov for all their hard work in making tonight happen. Thank you, guys. You saw that piece on Paley membership. Tonight's panel literally sold out within 5 minutes, and tickets going on sale to members, and non-members never had a chance to get a ticket. Other sold-out events this fall have included panels with Orange is the New Black, The Americans, Louis C.K., Elementary, Person of Interest, and 2 upcoming events in November with the Comedy Festival, The Kroll Show, and David Cross. So we encourage all of you to join, to have the opportunity to come. Number 3, if you can complete and return the survey on the back of tonight's handout on your way out, hand them in, you become eligible to win a Paley Center tote bag that David and Gillian have graciously agreed to sign. So make sure you return those. Last, there's no need to turn off your phone, although obviously we ask you to turn off your ringer. Photo taking is allowed. We do encourage you to tweet, live tweet, but please no flash photos because it disturbs. This event is being recorded for our collection and it disturbs the recording of the event. So that's that. Now it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's moderator, who hopefully is right outside that door. Keith Ulick is a staff film writer at Time Out New York, former editor of The House Next Door, and a contributor to various print and online publications, including Sight and Sound, Slant Magazine, and Reverse Shot. More relevantly, he is a titanic fan of Chris Carter's television work, especially The X-Files. So clearly, Keith is the right man for this job.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name's Keith, and I am an X-Files-aholic. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. From the sound of it, it sounds like we've got plenty of fellow X-Fileaholics here, which is great. X-Files, yes, exactly. I'm very happy to be here to introduce certainly one of my favorite shows of all time, and to talk to 2 of the people involved, especially just a little over a month out from the 20th anniversary of the show's premiere on September 10th, 1993, as well as the day before creator Chris Carter's birthday, 10/13, which gave him his production company name. So I don't think we should keep our guests in the wings because I think you'd prefer to see them than me anyway. So without further ado, I'm very happy to say some words I never thought in my life that I'd get to say. Please welcome the stars of The X-Files, David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. I guess. Yeah, I need it too.
I drink and you talk.
I can't do ventriloquism. All right, so biggest mystery out of the way first. David, whatever happened to the red Speedo you wore in Dwayne Barry?
I'm told, and this could be bullshit, that it's in the Smithsonian. And is that right, Melanie? You out there?
Wow.
But it was actually my Speedo, my personal Speedo that I personally swam in.
Okay.
And I think Chris Carter wanted me to wear board shorts because he's a California guy. And I said, nobody swims laps in board shorts. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
Let me wear my suit. And I have regretted it ever since.
But they do not, I'm sure. So.
Yeah.
So we know how Mulder and Scully met. So my first question I thought I'd ask is, how did David and Gillian meet, and where?
On the Fox lot? Was it on the Fox lot?
I think it was inside that building, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both were called into network to audition. Well, you already had the
Test.
job.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
There was another guy testing me, and there were
Oh, that's right.
3
20.
or 4 other women with
Yeah,
you.
the first day, and then they flew in other ladies from New York, just to make me more nervous.
No, they were choosing the 2 guys for the show, and Gillian and I happened to just pair up and run lines, just like you know, just see if we had them down, and that was just kismet.
What were your respective first impressions of each other?
I think you asked me to run lines, and I thought, trying to concentrate.
And then I told you I was from New York, and then we started talking.
Which isn't true.
No. I had lived there, but I said that I was from there.
I know.
I know, and you were so disappointed. I think you actually got up and walked away.
No, and then, yeah, and then we ran lines, and then you know, they would have called us to read separately, but then we all read with one another in front of the executives as well. So
In very small rooms, like tiny rooms, like, yeah.
Yeah, like trying to play a scene with a guy like right here.
Yeah.
And so we would have done that, but I don't have a memory of that you know, running the scene in there. Do you?
I actually do.
All right.
Oddly, yeah.
Do tell, please.
I do. No, just that there was I just remember the small room and the 2 of us in there and a bunch of executives sitting at our feet practically, and
Yeah. Oh, it was
how
bad.
nerve-wracking it
It's
was.
bad.
And then, well, after you get done doing a network audition, you go out and you sit in the hall.
With all the other people that are trying to
you're-
get the job.
Yeah, and you're not allowed to leave until they say, which is at the end of the day. And so you see the other girls and guys.
And everybody comes out of there like,
Everybody's
I
like,
fucking
yeah.
killed it.
It's true. It's very intimidating. And then, as I said, the next time they called me back in again, they obviously they didn't think very highly of me because they also flew in a bunch of other actresses from New York
Right.
in between. And
But
Is that true?
yeah,
I don't remember that.
including Cynthia Nixon
I do remember that.
and Jill Hennessy.
I remember that.
And then I found out that I had the job, and I knew Jill from back in New York, and she'd asked earlier in the day if I could give her a ride back to her hotel.
Oh, God.
How'd that conversation
I don't
go?
know. Josh, I hope I get it. I know. Good luck.
And when did you find out that you fucking killed it? To put it in
I
your
think I
words.
got it after that first day, because there were
did?
only two of us guys, and I don't know. I don't remember the time frame of the unwinding of the whole thing. It seemed to happen quickly, but I don't know. I don't. I think the first day, but I think Gillian had a.
But the
more
second audition
uncomfortable-
was on a Thursday, and we flew up on Saturday, 2 days later, to go up and start shooting.
Oh, is that
Start
right?
the wardrobe fittings.
Wow.
Oh,
That's the only thing I do remember. Really.
really?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the pilot then and some of your memories of it. I know I have seen Gillian talk about the scene in the rain in the graveyard.
Oh yeah.
With you, I think you said on one panel, I had the highest voice in television or something, or whatever. And,
Yeah.
Hey, come on.
No.
No, it's
Quoting, direct quote, I
true.
swear. But
We were talking about that earlier, how both of our voices were higher in the beginning of the show. And it's not because we went through puberty. It's because we relaxed. You know, when I've seen early shows, and my voice is definitely pitched a little higher.
And so what do you remember? Like any specific things from the pilot that are really
Well, that
really
scene in the
stick out?
rain was God, that was awful.
That was awful. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. It was forced rain too, wasn't it? It was just take after take after take.
And you don't like the rain. do you?
Freezing. It was really cold.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
it was hard.
And our lips, we couldn't talk because our lips were literally frozen, and we were laughing.
We didn't know
Yeah.
what we were doing. We didn't know what we were saying.
No. Who's
Wow.
Billy Miles. Billy Miles.
Didn't know who Billy Miles was, huh?
I still don't.
Wow. Could we talk actually, I think one of the key scenes in this series is the motel room scene where you
This is the
come in.
pilot.
In the pilot and in the finale, where it's revisited.
Is that right?
In the series finale. Yes.
Really?
I don't remember.
Well, in the series finale,
That's clever.
You have
That's
the motel room scene. Yeah, I know, it's very clever. You had the motel room
that
scene at the end that sort of has the same establishing shot outside.
Is that
and
right?
it's
Where
blocked-
were we in
And
the
it's
last
blocked in such a
episode?
way that it mirrors the scene
Was that when we
in
were
the pilot.
shooting in the desert?
No
I know
idea.
I'm talking over you. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's fine. It's fine.
Were we in the
No
desert
clue.
in the last episode?
The last, yeah, but then you end up in Roswell, New Mexico, is where the motel
Not ringing a
is.
bell.
You're not ringing a bell. In the motel room scene in the pilot.
So what? So he came back?
I believe you.
Wait,
I'm just
he
saying.
came.
Yes, he comes back in the
He
finale.
comes back in the
season
finale.
9.
Okay.
And then what happens?
And apparently we have a conversation in a hotel room.
Smoking Man is finally your father.
no.
And he gets blown up.
That I
and,
remember.
And then you drive to the motel room and you have I am a guilty man. I deserve the harshest punishment for my crimes. You said this, and then yeah, and then Gillian. And then Scully says, you know, what is left to believe in and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And all this.
Truth is, we played that scene
Yeah.
probably 50 times.
Yeah. Yes. And then she says, then we believe the same thing, which is kind of like, you know, the key
Then what
line in
happens?
that last.
And where was
scene.
our kid, our baby at that
How
point?
does it end?
Your baby had been injected
I'm
with a
dying to know how it
magnetite
ends.
shot.
What'd you say?
I'm dying to know how it ends.
Jeffrey Spender, Mulder's half-brother, comes back with
What's so funny about
with the shot of magnetite that he gives him and makes him into a normal baby.
This guy's
Are you
good.
serious?
Yes, and then you give the baby up for adoption.
That is
Fucking
crazy.
magnetite.
That is crazy
What's
shit.
magnetite?
Magnetite is the thing.
Magnetite is that thing that makes you go flying into the rock.
Yes. It's,
Remember?
It's
That
the
guy, he's
reason-
got him, and he just goes flying into the rock.
It's the reason the Smoking Man is hiding out in the Anasazi ruins.
Oh my
Of
God.
course.
Because the aliens
I feel
will
like
go
I
there
smoked something.
because it destroys them.
Oh my God.
The
I feel
point-
like
The point is,
Drop some acid or something, man.
the point is,
I'm having a bad trip.
you give the baby up.
Let me just say that we like a lot of what you've written. We're not going to make your show. It's just a little too far-fetched.
Wow.
I don't remember, but I do remember the you okay? I remember the first scene. We can talk about that, the pilot.
Why don't we go back to that?
Yeah,
yes. The motel room scene in the pilot. Where Scully comes in
power's out.
And says, "I want you to look at something." You have the bites in the back. Yeah. I think Chris Carter said that's the closest you get in the series until maybe the second movie.
Yeah.
Is that hug.
Hug? What hug?
The hug in the pilot.
It's a mosquito bite, right?
Did you hug me in the pilot?
Yes.
Oh, to comfort me?
You rush into his arms.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was comforting you all the time.
I had cancer.
That's true.
Not until season 4.
Martyr.
I'm sorry. You're right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Jeez.
Hotel room scene, pilot.
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Memories of it.
Yeah.
I was on the bed and you were on the floor.
No. Oh, yes, eventually. But first I have to look at you think you've got a mark on your back, remember?
Yeah.
I do. It's like three things, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then I take a candle, perhaps?
Yeah, you take a candle, you look at it.
I do not yet have one of those high-powered flashlights. That would have been sexy, huh? Let me take a look. Whoa! I don't know, but I can see what you had for lunch. I don't know what those things are. And then I see that it's a mosquito bite, and then we have I tell you why I am the way I am.
Yes.
By the bed.
And is that when you tell me about your sister?
I think so.
So I don't know about your sister before
I think that was
scene?
probably the audition scene, as a matter of fact.
It
Do
was
you remember what your
raining.
audition scene was?
They had rain outside the window. I remember that.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And what do you? I guess. Do you remember much else? Or?
That's about it. No, that's about it. No.
No.
Good. There was a lot of weight on that scene. I remember that. I remember wanting it to be really good, which is really the best way to make it really bad.
Yeah.
And I think it was, like I said, it was the audition scene, but it was also like really the history of the character scene. You know, this is the guy, and I just.
Did Chris Carter talk to you about that ahead of time? Just that particular scene?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously I don't remember much, so he might have.
Well, do you remember where you both were when the show premiered on September 10th, 93?
We were filming, and in the olden days, they used to put a TV out while
Did they do it with the
crew
pilot?
was eating lunch.
Did they do that with the pilot?
I think because we'd already started to shoot. By the time it aired, we'd already started to shoot.
I remember the
series.
TV at the lunch place. I remember the TV set up there, but I don't remember watching the actual pilot there.
Oh,
but
I
maybe
might
we
be
did.
wrong.
Maybe we did.
But
Well-
outside when we were shooting outside, they had a tent and they would plug in a TV somewhere.
And it was actually kind of nice because it's so rare when you're working on a show. Never have I watched the show with the people
With
that
the
make
crew,
the show.
yeah.
So it was really this great feeling of like, oh, that's what we're doing,
Yeah.
you know. And now other people are going to see it, and everybody kind of had a sense of pride and ownership. I remember it was actually kind of nice to. Never again has that happened in anything that I've done.
Do you remember what the sense was of the show kind of culturally at that point? Because it took a little while to catch
Oh yeah,
on.
there was no sense of it at all.
No sense.
I thought it was going to tank.
Yeah. And it didn't, thank God. When did you start to become aware that it was, really catching on?
Season 9. No, probably the third season
Yeah, probably third.
for me.
season.
I mean, we were doing interviews every single week, every single spare minute we had. We were
Third
doing
season, you
photo
mean?
shoots and interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same question was always,
you believe
did
in
you
aliens?
expect that it was going to be successful?
right,
And
yes.
yeah.
Right.
That's how I knew it was them saying that it was successful. Did you know?
Whoever expects something to be a hit? what kind of an idiot does? You know,
Andrew Dice Clay?
Who? Andrew Dice Clay. Oh, okay.
Sorry. Not that he's an idiot.
We
I don't
didn't.
mean that,
We had
but
we had no clue, and we weren't. I mean, I speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure we didn't even concern ourselves. We didn't take the show because we thought it might be. I mean, we needed to live. You know, take a job.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't even think. I actually thought, you know, it was about aliens. That was my impression. I didn't know what the show was going to be about. None of us did. So I thought, you know, how you know, eventually you're going to have to see the alien.
Well, one of us.
And then it's over. So how long are we going to be able to go?
Yeah.
People are going to get pissed if they don't see the alien. And they're going to be pissed if the show keeps going after you see the alien. So that was my impression. I didn't know it was all paranormal and anything unexplained. I had no. Did you know that? No, we didn't know.
Okay.
We thought it was about aliens. Right?
It was.
You don't look like you agree.
It was a job.
Yeah, right. It was a job.
At the beginning, that's what it was.
Well, our guests had brought some clips tonight from the series that we're going to be showing. So we're going to be interspersing them throughout the night. So I thought we'd start ladies first with one of Gillian's clips. We're going to... Oh, what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna kind of cryptically say what it is. We're gonna watch it, and then we'll discuss why they chose it. So in this first clip, it's an autopsy clip, and it's a very and it's a yes, and it's a very it's a very eventful Scully autopsy. Let's put it that way. So roll it.
Scully, we're going to need a complete autopsy on this man. The sooner the better.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What am I even looking for?
I don't know.
.54 p.m. Begin autopsy on white male, age 60, who is arguably having a worse time in Texas than I am, although not by much. I'll begin with the Y incision. Yeehaw. Heart weighs 370 grams. Tissue appears healthy. Left lung weighs 345 grams. Tissue appears healthy. Large intestine, 890 grams. Yada, yada, yada. Stomach contents show last meal close to the time of death, consisting of pizza, topped with pepperoni, green peppers, mushrooms. That sounds really good.
Why did you choose that one?
I always remember it as the intestines spooling out of the thing. Is that? Huh?
It comes after that.
Oh, it comes after that. Okay. That's my favorite bit. I don't know why. It puts the whole thing.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love that episode. I love the whole thing about our.
We should actually say that it's the 5th season episode Bad Blood, which Vince Gilligan, as I recall, wrote.
Yeah.
Yes. Please.
And it's Mulder and Scully's. It starts. I think is it considered a teaser when that little bit that they show before the first credit happens? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. But in the teaser, Mulder is chasing a vampire through the forest, and Scully is chasing Mulder, chasing the vampire through the forest, and the vampire is a young kid, and he finally tackles the kid to the ground and is on the verge of slamming a stake into his heart, and I reach into his mouth.
No, I think I do kill him.
He kills him, and I reach into his mouth and take out some false teeth.
Yeah.
So
Which is bad news.
Yes. And when you said,
I killed a
"Oh,"
child.
and then the credits.
Right.
Yes.
And then so the rest of the episode is our versions of what happened up to that point.
That's right.
Yeah, and I was
Funny.
right.
Yeah.
It's funny, and it's Luke Wilson.
Yep.
Yeah.
And my version of Luke Wilson's character, the sheriff of this town, is that he's a handsome, suave Texan
Right.
guy, and your version is that he has
Crazy
big
teeth.
yellow buck teeth. Is really thick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny.
funny.
Did you like it when Scully was able to cut loose, because she is usually very stoic and no business
Yeah.
for the most part? So
Yeah.
what was it like for you to get scripts like this, or maybe like Three of a Kind? I remember where you're in Las Vegas, I think, and with Morris Fletcher, and they have like and all the men come with you at the cigarette and everything.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's fun. I love doing comedy, and and it was such a wonderful break for us in the midst of all the seriousness of life and death, and so it was a riot, and we never knew what to expect, and if it was often a Vince episode, but Darren Morgan episodes, and it was such a pleasure to read and to participate in.
Yeah. Let's talk about a few of the writers, actually. Vince certainly, because he's very popular now with Breaking Bad and everything. And Darren Morgan certainly we should bring up. Let's talk about Darren Morgan a little bit, because his 4 episodes, and I believe he also wrote the speech in Quagmire.
That's what they say.
The episode where you're on the rock talking about Melville and Moby Dick and the peg leg and everything. Right. Obviously you first met him with The Host, where he played the Fluke Man.
Yeah.
And then when did you become aware of his writing? Because the first script would have been Humbug. So when did that come to you?
Then.
Well, it was clearly a superior script. Clearly the work of somebody. You don't think so?
Do you really want to say that?
Superior, not superior above the others, but
Right.
a superior piece of work.
That's what you mean.
In and of itself,
Yes.
a superior piece of work. You can, like if you just saw this one piece of writing,
Yeah. You think
you knew nothing else, you'd say that is a superior piece of writing. So it was a good piece of writing, and he managed to be very funny, very clever. He's just extremely clever, and he's got just a great. His worldview is so kind of bitter and innocent at the same time. It's really his own, and he was able. It was beautiful. He's a beautiful writer, and he just doesn't write very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should talk about the cockroach then that you eat in Humbug, right?
No, that's not.
No?
No. It was like a thing coming out of the person, the baby living inside the. What was that thing? Isn't that more interesting?
I don't know what you're
Well, we
talking
could do that. Yeah.
about. Who?
In that episode, wasn't there like a?
There's a little
The
guy.
baby is trying to
Little
get
guy.
into
Little
Yeah.
someone.
Little
Yeah.
twins
was
trying
it?
to go home.
It's trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's trying to find its brother. It's a Siamese twin, I think.
Yeah.
And it's trying to,
It's
go
sad.
into its brother.
Yes.
But it keeps going into other people. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be tender, but it's not.
It is. It's tender.
And the guy who did the penis tricks. That's more interesting than cockroach.
The
No,
which?
no. He didn't do those in the show.
What would this be now?
Just in my trailer. Oh no. I needed them for you.
You're on your own. Oregon origami.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yes.
They did.
Puppetry of the penis.
They did. You know, we used this like
The
circus.
Jim Rose circus.
Yeah, the Jim
Yes, he
Rose,
would
and
do-
part of their act was
Yeah.
he would make like hamburgers.
It was quite stunning.
I
And
believe
he
it.
invited us to like observe at one
didn't-
point. That's
You didn't invite me, Jillian. I got
you
no
were
invitation.
there. Yes, you did. You were there.
I was there. Swollen
The front
thumb,
row.
Swollen thumb, flying squirrel, windsurfer, hamburger. All good.
Wow. Why don't we move on to
Don't try this at home.
Clyde Bruckman's Family Pose. A second Darren Morgan episode.
What is it?
Season 3.
Never mind.
Yeah? No, go on, go on.
I'll show you later.
No? Okay.
Want to see the flying squirrel first?
There will be more clips coming, trust me. Clyde Bruckman's...
Triple
Hey,
hamburger? No. Sorry, that's enough.
It's okay, it's okay.
All right, okay.
Clyde Bruckman, Final
Yeah.
Repose.
Peter
Peter
Boyle.
Boyle.
Fantastic.
Yes. Second Darren Morgan episode in
Is
season
that right?
3. Yeah. Well, I mean, second one that he wrote.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
one in season 3.
A superior script.
The specific line in
What?
that, though, that we have to talk about with Gillian is when she asks, "How do I die?" and Clyde Bruckman says, "You don't."
Yeah.
I'm not dead.
And he's going to die of autoerotic asphyxiation.
Well, we know that.
Mulder is
those
going-
writers were hating on me.
But no, that's one of the most debated things in the series that then sort of weaves its way through the rest of it. I'd say, just in terms of how, like in Emily, where Scully has this, she always has these this beatific countenance, like she becomes kind of an iconic and holy figure, I would say, throughout the rest of the series, and especially I'd say in the second movie. I Want to Believe, the last shot, I think, is very much about that kind of iconographic look, and it seems to all go back to this. This thing that Darren Morgan wrote, I would say, you don't. You have some kind of long-lasting spirit. So I wondered if you had any, thoughts on that particular line, and how it relates to Scully's character.
She's God.
Yes.
And there's going to be more about that in the third movie, but
Oh. Will there be a
talk
third?
about that. Just keep that in mind when you.
Okay. Okay. Scully is God.
Yeah.
It's true.
I agree.
That's why.
Yeah. The cockroach episode, War of the Copperphages, also Darren Morgan.
Yeah.
How was it?
Superior.
Superior script?
Yeah.
Superior script. But talk about working with all those damn bugs.
I said this earlier today when I was asked about that show, and the truth is I grew up here in the city, so cockroaches to me, I'll pick them up, I'll play with them. They don't bother me at all. So I didn't mind working with them. They were very clean Canadian cockroaches. Those were cockroaches that actually, when they ate your food, they apologized.
Good.
Because they're Canadian.
I get it. It was funny.
Yeah. That's all I got.
That's all you got. And then there's Jose Chung.
You're a Darren Morgan fan.
I am.
Yeah.
We'll get to the other writers.
I don't
but,
blame
Darren
him.
Morgan's
I don't blame him. He's
You don't
fantastic.
you don't like him?
I know. I told you.
You do.
He's superior.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to say it?
No,
He's
but
fantastic.
I'm just talking about memories of the episodes and everything, and like in Jose Chung.
Jose
Charles
Chung.
Nelson Riley.
When we get Darren script, it was always kind of it was like, oh, it's a Darren script, because there weren't very many of them.
Yeah.
And Jose Chung was a great one, right? You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Yeah.
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 Tell us about that, 'cause
Proud of yourself.
Yeah, how could you forget Charles Nelson Riley?
Oh,
Exactly.
come on.
No, but tell me about, because you have so many scenes with him in The Office, and how was that to shoot with him?
It was fun. You know, he is who he is, and so just being around that kind of him was fun.
He was very positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very positive guy.
He was happy to be there.
Yeah.
He liked being the center of things. It was good.
And I remember asking him where he got his from, that whole thing, and he said from this actress Alice Ghostley, who was a wonderful character. And so he was actually the drag version of Alice Ghostley.
Wow.
Truth.
I'm never going to forget that. Well, let's talk about the structure of the series. Specifically, I mean, it would alternate between the mythology and the standalones. And you had the monsters of the week, and then occasionally you'd revisit the mythology here and there. And I wondered how you felt as performers, like if you felt you were able to develop the two characters with that kind of on-off style, or if it ever was kind of frustrating to, go from the Mulder and Scully story arc kind of thing to the monster of the weeks, where it's sort of like you could be whatever the story demanded.
I think we were just trying to keep up mostly. The scripts come fast, and there's a lot of chunky dialogue, and we were just working all the time, and so I mean, sometimes I think we get more excited about a script than other times, but I don't think I really had any.
It was fun when they shook it up like that,
Sometimes it was confusing, because I remember in the first year. There was that episode Fire, and all of a sudden Chris said, Mulder's got this deathly fear of fire, and I was like, what? I said, there's a scene in the pilot where Scully and I are looking at a motel on fire, and I'm completely fine. So some of that stuff might happen,
But also, the mythology stuff I never followed. I mean,
You never what?
Followed.
Oh, the mythology stuff?
Yeah. I stopped, I stopped asking
Well, they were making
questions
it up as
after
they
a while.
went along.
Yeah.
They didn't have. Why? What happened? Huh? Oh, hard to follow, yeah. Well, because they were, I mean, it was improvised, and it was, and Gillian getting pregnant and having to go away for an episode or two was really the motivator of the whole mythology thing. So it was never, I don't think Chris ever had an idea that was going to be part of the show, let alone the part of the show that most people like the most, so all this stuff happens. Life happens, whatever happens, and you improvise, with what you've got. So that's what they were doing.
Right.
And I'm sure once they realized that people were responding to the mythology stuff, they got into it themselves, But I don't think Chris ever had an end game with that.
Yeah.
Until maybe the very end.
Yeah. And okay.
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, I think we should move on to the next clip, which is also a Gillian clip.
I hope I'm in this one.
Yeah, you are. I will introduce it only by fact of the matter that in this one, Mulder and Scully play baseball.
Oh, that's sweet.
Roll it.
You never hit a baseball, have you, Scully?
No, I guess I have found more necessary things to do with my time than slap a piece of horsehide with a stick.
Get over here, Scully.
This is my birthday present, Mulder. You shouldn't have.
This ain't cheap. Paying that kid $10 an hour to shag balls. It's not a bad piece of ash, huh? The bat. I'm talking about the bat. Now don't strangle it. You just want to shake hands with it. Hello, Mr. Bat. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Oh no, Miss Scully. The pleasure is all mine. Okay, now we want to go hips before hands. Okay, and we want to stride forward and turn. That's all we're thinking about. So we go hips before hands. All right.
Okay.
One more time. Hips before hands. All right.
Yeah.
What is it?
tips beforehand.
Right. We're going to wait on the pitch. We're going to keep our eye on the ball.
Okay.
And then we're just going to make contact. We're not going to think. We're just going to let it fly, Scully, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
I'm in the middle.
All right, fire away, poor boy. Ooh, that's good. All right, what you may find is you're concentrating on hitting that little ball. The rest of the world just fades away, all your everyday nagging concerns, taking away your biological clock. How you probably couldn't afford that nice new suede coat on a G-woman's salary. How you threw away a promising career in medicine to hunt aliens with a crackpot, now be a brilliant partner, getting to the heart of a global conspiracy. Your obscenely overdue XXX bill. Oh, I'm sorry, Scully. The last two problems are mine, not yours.
Shut up, Mulder. I'm playing baseball. Oh!
Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound.
Why'd you pick that one?
Because I wanted to see it again.
Good memories of filming it?
Yeah, well, and also because David directed it, and I knew that he probably wouldn't pick one that he directed. And it's a really,
Wrong.
you know, it's just, what? But I remembered it fondly, and you know, it's quite intimate for where we would have been at that particular point in our relationship, and it's very romantic.
Yeah. Oh, getting me for a clown. We should talk then too, since this was your first writing and directing assignment, and you ultimately
Superior.
You wrote and directed 3 X-Files in addition to coming up with some stories from season 2, Colony Anasazi, Avatar, Until Ithikumi, you did story. Co-writer on Sixth Extinction 2, Amor Fati.
Really?
And, yeah. The Last Temptation of Christ episode. And then the writer-director on The Unnatural, Hollywood AD, and William. And we'll get to yours momentarily, because Gillian wrote and directed one too. But I want to ask you, David, about first tracing that kind of history from first coming up with stories in like season 2, and then eventually getting to the writing and directing point. If you could talk about that.
Well, I don't think I would have been able to direct when I first started the show, and I didn't even think I could direct maybe the 4th or 5th year. It just was something that I had to do to learn it. I mean, you don't know how much you think you don't know how much you don't know. I don't know what it is. It's a weird feeling. There's a lot of people that help you do what you do when you direct, and you don't know that until you direct. So you think you have to know everything, and it's not possible. Unless you're Steven Soderbergh, who kind of, he lights, he shoots, he writes, he directs, so he can do it, but I couldn't. And I just, what was the question?
Well, let's start with like the stories. Like the first story you came up with was for Colony.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that, but I will tell you, I talked to Chris about where we're going, like the mythology stuff, where are we going, and we'd kind of just bullshit back and forth, and I guess I gave him enough stuff that he would give me story credit on a couple, but I wasn't writing on those.
Were you did you come up with the Bounty Hunter, or
no,
I
didn't come up with the Bounty Hunter.
Okay.
But this was I talked to Chris at the beginning of the 6th year, and I said, if I write one, can I direct it? And he said sure. So I just it just kind of came to me from looking in the newspaper. There was a home run race that year, and there was an article about a minor leaguer who had hit all these home runs in 1947, which was the same year the Roswell crash, but also the same year that Jackie Robinson went to the. It was just all this stuff that kind of was handed to me from the air. And then it just became that. And then I just always, I also like that scene a lot, you know, because I love, Gillian's so good in it. And, you know, what was nice was, what? You don't, oh, I think you're adorable in that.
I look like I'm 12.
Yeah, you look young, but you're adorable. And you know, Gillian was kind enough, and I'd never said this, but I was aware that, you know, when I was directing, that she really, you know, I know she was tired, and there were times when we would be more prepared or less, let's say, than other times. And she really, you know, she really was there, you know, and you can see it in that scene. She's really just doing just wonderful work for me, you know, and I really felt like it was for, you know, for me, and it was just really, I recognized it, and I don't think I've ever told you, but
You heard it here first.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things in directing that scene I didn't know, because I only wrote it, I didn't know that it looks crappy to swing two people swing. In my mind, it was this beautiful swing that we were both going to pull off.
Yeah.
And it looks crappy.
I kind of look like I'm hanging on, and my feet
terrible.
might be off the ground.
It doesn't quite work.
No.
It looks like we're wrestling over a stick.
Did you go into the writer's room to write it, or did you write it outside?
I wrote it at home.
You wrote it at home?
Yeah, and then I just sent it to Chris, and, you know, nothing, there was no rewriting, just as is.
And there was no boarding of the story?
No, I never did that. Did you do that? You board?
I did a little. I think after I did my outline and did a first draft, we needed to go in with a board because it wasn't supernatural enough. We needed to go in and board it in order to figure out where that could come in. Yeah.
Can we talk about your episode, All Things?
I had this thought in my head of, like, where was I when you were coming up with all those ideas and having all those guys? And I thought, oh, well, I got married, I had a baby, and then I got divorced, and then but never mind.
You were having fun.
I mean, a similar thing of not, well, I think when people started to ask me if I was ever, you know, when Mulder had started, Mulder?
I was afraid I was going to do that.
There you go. Well, I did
Really?
it. There you go. That was
Really?
completely, that was not on purpose.
Wow.
When David started writing and directing, you know, people would say, "Are you ever?" And you know, for the longest time, I said no. I just, it never occurred to me. And then I think enough people said it that I kind of thought, do I have an idea? Do I have any ideas? And then one afternoon, an idea came to me that was based on an image, and the outline for the story just kind of came. I just literally sat down for like 3 hours straight and wrote out the outline, and that was kind of the beginning. And I handed it to Chris, and you know, he was a little surprised, I think. And you know, I said, if I turn this into a script, could I potentially direct it? And he said, well, turn it into a script first, and then we'll see. No, valid, very valid. I'd never written anything. It's very fair. It's, you know, it's big TV, grown-up stuff, and and so I did, and I think I went at it myself first, and then Frank came on as a kind of a mentor, and Frank Spotnitz, sorry, and then I know that there were a couple of scenes that I didn't have time to get to fully write, that they were, you know, to be written scenes by the time we started shooting. And I remember writing in my trailer as well, which I just can't imagine doing that in the midst of the schedule that we had, but somehow I got done. And,
Okay. and so what were some of the memories of shooting that you have of doing All Things?
Well, I remember having two feelings in the first couple of days. The first one being so excited and like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm loving this. And then at the same time thinking, when is this going to end? This is so hard.
Was it an 8-day shooting schedule?
But really fun, and I had a lot of fun working out the camera work. And it was interesting. There were a couple of things that happened where I worked out some very intricate camera work, and a couple of times Kim Manners had come, and I think he was helping me on the shooting side. He was going to be my mentor, and he said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go home and you're going to work out your shot list way in advance so that you're prepared. And I had a lot of fun doing that and felt much more secure going into the set, knowing how I was going to shoot it, and I'd worked out some pretty intricate stuff. Yeah. And at first, his reaction was, "Oh my God, I've never thought about doing it this way. This is amazing." And then once we shot it, and it was actually on the screen, it actually didn't work at all. There were some things that I didn't understand about, technically in terms of camera stuff. That just I knew nothing. I was so green, and but I enjoyed the writing of it a lot.
Whose idea was the Moby song?
Mine.
In it. Yeah. Good. That answers the question.
It's a little too much like a music video sometimes, I think, the episode. It doesn't, you know what I mean? I don't know. I felt on the whole, I think I felt like it had the feel that I was after. But there was so much that I ended up losing in the process, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't realize that so much of writing is rewriting, and you end up, having to throw a lot of babies out, and so to speak. And so that's hard because I got quite attached to back storylines, and I had this whole, that I forget isn't actually in there. So
right. What was the feeling you were aiming to convey in that?
Well, there was something. It was an interesting. I had this whole backstory about this relationship between Scully and this older man, and what happened and how that had ended, but the idea of how we come together again, and the feeling of us as human beings all being part of the same whole, and and the title being All Things. It felt like there wasn't. It felt like a very spiritual episode, which was my intention, and had a lot of concepts in there that that just are a part of my life, and I'm glad that and then some things that had to go off in tangents in order to make it more dramatic, but I'm glad that they're in there.
David, let's talk about your other two episodes, Hollywood AD from season 7, which is Mulder and Scully go to Hollywood, basically. Yeah. How did you come up with that one?
Well, we were shooting in L.A., so it was kind of like, oh, well, make use of where you're shooting. So, and the show was old enough and kind of popular enough where I think we could pull off an idea that, oh, maybe they make a movie out of, what these people are doing. Right. And then the case of the Lazarus Ball, I don't know where that came from. That was just some silly thing about, Christ's voice being in pottery or something like that. So, but it was enough to build that part of the story about, and then it was just an excuse to get Mulder and Scully in a kind of a funny situation and have them, act out of character, and Skinner too.
And then William was kind of your homecoming.
William I'm not really that attached to. I mean, the first two were personal, and stories that I had a personal attachment to in some way or other. And William was more like, that was a plot. That was servicing the plot of the year at the time, and I wrote it because we talked about the plot, but it wasn't a very personal episode in that way. But it was nice I hadn't yet come back as an actor, right? So it was nice to be on set and to just be there for a little while directing before I was going to come back as an actor, so I didn't just show up again. Right.
Is that weird? That must have been a little weird, wasn't it?
I honestly don't remember. I don't know. I don't think it was weird. I don't think it was weird. Yeah, no, I don't remember.
No? Gillian, I think that one of your strongest pieces in this series is certainly the cancer arc, starting in, it's hinted at in season 3, but then starting in season 4 with Leonard Betts, and going through into season 5. One question I know I had about that was that the show Never Again, which was a tattoo episode with Jodie Foster, as I recall, originally wasn't supposed to be part of the cancer arc, but the way it's placed, it is. Because I think it was originally supposed to be the Super Bowl episode, but they switched it out to Leonard Betts. And I think you said that you wouldn't have played how Scully does the one-night stand in Never Again the same way if you knew that it was going to be part of the cancer arc.
That rings a bell, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about that and ask, like, what would you have done differently to include that in?
I wish I was the person who could answer that question, but I'm just not. I don't know. I honestly don't remember enough. I mean, what I do
You had a
remember
one-night
is
stand?
You did too.
he had lots of one-night stands.
I just asked her. That's first things first.
Yeah, the one-night stands.
Who was it?
Rodney.
Rodney Rollins. Yeah.
No. Oh, come on. Okay.
Should we talk
Who was
about
mine?
the vampire?
Does 8-Pack bring it back?
Season 2.
Perry Reeves?
Episode 3.
My actual girlfriend at the time?
Yes. That is correct.
Was that
Way
it?
to
Wasn't
go.
there somebody before? Wasn't there somebody before her?
No.
I don't
No,
think
was
there
that
was a
just real
one-night
life?
stand before. They were old girlfriends. Like, I believe, like, the Amanda Pays in Fire was supposed to be an old...
That's the one that I was just talking
Yeah,
about.
that's
All of
the
a
one
sudden,
that-
I'm
Yeah.
scared to death of fire.
Yes. Yeah.
So silly.
Yeah.
Was that before? Was the Amanda Pays one before the...
That was season 1.
No,
Oh.
she was in that Fire episode.
Fire.
She was my partner before you.
And
Right.
there was some.
But there was
something.
there was something that was going on there
Supposed
because
to
I
be,
remember.
yeah.
Isn't that around the scene about the legs can't touch the pedals, or is that because I'm upset?
That's season 3. That's Syzygy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Somebody literally went.
He knows nothing.
All right, I'll shut up.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Well, let's talk then just about the cancer arc, because that is
Yeah.
one of the most striking things in the series, and it's and I just how did you prepare to do that, and what was the reaction to it? Because I think, as I recall, there were a lot of people who were very thankful to see that on screen portrayed as it was.
Well, so much of that was in the writing in terms of how I was young. And, unfortunately, cancer does strike young people, as we all know, but it was at the time so far outside of my experience that it was really purely coming from what I was getting off the page and what I could even remotely imagine might be somebody's experience. But I really had no clue. So that tells me that a lot of, there must have been a lot of indicators on the page to let me know how to, the degree of strength and dignity and just the challenges of work and continuing to keep going and be, and show up. For herself and for her partner at that time.
Yeah. Okay. And I think we should. Oh, we should talk. We should probably move on to the next clip, actually, which is finally David clip.
What is it?
We're gonna find out.
Probably not in it.
This is a rather intense Mulder and Scully scene that happens around Christmas time.
Oh, where's Scully?
Mulder.
Mulder, what are you doing? Mulder!
There's no getting out of here, Scully. There's no way home.
Mulder, come on. Mulder, don't come any closer. You're scaring me. Put the gun down.
What are you gonna do? You gonna shoot me?
I'm not gonna shoot you. I don't want to shoot you.
It's me or you. You or me. One of us has to do it.
Mulder, look. We don't have to do this.
Oh, yes, we do.
We can get out of
out here.
Even if we could, what's waiting for us? More loneliness. And then 365 more shopping days till even more loneliness.
I don't believe what you're saying. Mulder, I don't believe a word of it.
Merry Christmas, Scully.
Good.
That,
I did a good dead.
yeah.
And that's what you got out of that?
And that's how Scully died on the series. But no, that's from the season 6 episode "How the Ghost Stole Christmas,"
Yeah.
which Chris Carter wrote and directed.
Yeah.
Why did you pick that one, David?
I don't know. I remembered liking it. I remembered that you shoot me right after that. Thanks.
What, in this episode?
Yeah, yeah. I thought we were going to go to that too, but I just remembered. I didn't remember that it was so kind of funny. I just thought it was, you know, because I'm not me. I'm Ed Asner being me, I guess, is what that is. You know, you know, it was just one of those scenes where we got to play kind of not who we were a little bit, but also it was very kind of moving watching it now. You know, how surprised Scully is that I would shoot her. You know, it just shows. It's kind of sad at that point to see her heart break.
Everybody shut up but quick when she got shot in here. So.
Well, that's serious when somebody shoots somebody.
It's true. It's true.
I just remember that great shot of those holes that were blown
When you
into
see through
when
it,
you see through the holes of Lily Tomlin. And
Yeah.
It was a good episode.
What are some of your memories of that particular episode?
Just that.
Just that.
Remember we were up in Piru shooting in that mansion?
Yeah, shooting in that
We had
mansion.
a long way to go to get there.
And then also the amount of blood, and then like the final
Oh,
scene
we were
when
just
we're crawling on
rolling
that
around and-
sticky
yeah, it was
mint-flavored
nasty.
blood on the floor.
I didn't eat it.
And what else?
That was
It was
bad.
fun working
it
with them.
was late. Those were like all-nighters. That was a hard one, but it was good. And then there was a really nice scene at the end where we exchanged gifts. I think. Do you remember that one?
Oh, what in the car? Where?
In my
his
my
apartment.
apartment.
Oh, what did you get me?
I got you.
They didn't show us. They
they
didn't
didn't
show
say-
you.
Oh,
Because
really?
Chris Carter does that constantly.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer.
I don't know what
Yeah, with the words X-Files on it.
Yeah.
I should ask, what was it like? I mean, I assume Chris Carter was mostly offset for a lot of it, doing a lot of the writing and such. But when he came on to direct certain episodes, was there a different vibe on the set?
Well, he's so calm. He's such a calm guy that he was. It always kind of, you know, you felt like you. I always felt like I was in safe hands, and but he was. He's a very calm set, which is nice.
Well, the first one I think was Dwayne Barry, the first one he directed, and I remember being aware, much like I said of you. I remember being aware, like I really wanted to, you know, be good, you know. So I felt extra pressure on myself, like I wanted
To be good in front of Chris.
for him, you know, like I didn't care in front of him so much, but like you know, I wanted him like get, you know, to have a great experience and to, you know, have a great show and everything, and so I was a little. I think at first I was a little. Maybe the first episode I wasn't so happy about it because it just felt like another pair of eyes on me in my own head. But after that, it was just, you know, just another director.
Yeah. And how about you, Gillian?
Well, he took so many risks in the scripts that, you know, there were various scripts that he wrote, you know, between Postmodern Prometheus and Triangle and stuff like that. He took some really big risks, and for him to be a part of that in the directing of them as well, and to help, you know, see that through to the end, and to help create the whole atmosphere of each of those shows was fun to be a part of. We felt like I felt like we were that I was a part of an artistic process on a different level than I'd
It
experienced
was
before with
nice about the show where we could feel that way sometimes.
And I think he was one of
Often.
I think he was one of the few TV creators of the time to actually stick through the series beginning to end, because a lot of people left before
Sure.
before they would.
Yeah, and he
really
had
get
other
to the end of the
shows
series.
going too at the same
Yeah,
time.
and he had other shows. Yeah,
Yeah.
but did you always felt his presence in some way, like through the? Oh yeah. How so?
Well, he's a perfectionist,
Yeah.
and I think that comes across in the episodes.
Mm.
But I'm pretty sure that he had a hand in every single script that was aired. It. Yeah, am I wrong? Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think Darren Morgan, he said he didn't know what to do with Humbug, and it was just like here.
Well, Darren's stuff, yeah, he would
Yeah.
just sui generis
Yeah. Let's
and superior.
superior scripts. Yeah. Let's talk about the two movies now, because jumping from TV to big screen, what did that require, especially with the first movie, which I believe was shot between seasons 4 and 5, correct?
Yeah.
What kind of mental framework did you have to do or work to get there?
I never acted on television any differently than I act. I mean, I act the same. It's the same medium, ostensibly. I mean, you see it up here on a big screen. It could be a movie. It's the same.
Yeah.
Our characters were the same. It was just, I think I had a thought of like, well, we don't get to make up for this next week if this isn't great.
Right.
There's not another one coming next week that's going to erase the memory of this particular moment or scene. So.
Yeah.
So there was a sense of like, well, we're not going to pass this way again, ever again. So let's, maybe put a little more pressure on it, maybe. But in terms of the acting style, or nothing different
Right.
at all.
I think I felt definitely more nervous. I felt more stressed about it. The stakes seemed higher to me, at least in my own head.
For the first movie?
Well, probably for both
Probably
movies,
both.
but definitely for the first movie. But also, it's a different feel on a film set than it is on a TV.
It wasn't
episode.
our crew,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
Because
it
we were
was,
shooting in Vancouver at the time. We shot the movie in LA, so it wasn't our crew.
Yeah.
So that was a little different.
And it was primarily it was a film crew, and you take longer to shoot things, and you have more time. It takes longer to set things up, and you feel like it just feels more substantial somehow. It feels like it's got more space around it, and.
And in some ways that's good, in some ways it's bad, because it gives you more time to second guess yourself, which is not necessarily a good thing.
Right.
And if you just have a little time, often you're just thrown back on your instincts, which can be the best thing that you have. Not always, but it can be.
Right. And then could we, since we're going to be going to audience for questions pretty soon, I thought it would be good to just talk about your memories of the end of the series, like the final kind of run through to the truth, and then the break and into I Want to Believe as the second movie. So could we?
I remember having a water fight on the last episode, wearing brown, all
in the desert?
brown, a brown
Yeah.
shirt and brown pants in 120-degree weather, and having that water fight.
Yeah.
You were part of that water fight, weren't you?
I think so.
I think I won.
Okay. You won. It was emotional, I remember. We were ending, we were ending 9 years. We were ending. I just remember feeling like you and I were emotional, with one another. I mean, there was a real sense of an ending, and so I don't remember the show so much. I think was I on trial or something like that?
Yeah.
But I remember the scenes that I would do with you. We were very aware that this was maybe the last time that we were going to do this.
Right.
And that we'd been doing it for 9 years, and it had been so important. And
also the fact that you were
us.
coming back to do some of those, and you'd been gone for a while, and there was something more momentous about those scenes.
And so then the bridge, there was a little bit of a break, and then when did I Want to Believe come into your kind of...
The second movie?
The second movie,
Oh,
yeah.
that was a big break, I think, right?
2002, and it came out in 2008. So I guess,
Yeah.
what did you shoot, 2007? Or?
Probably, yeah.
Or even
Yeah,
six.
2007.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I always assumed that we'd continue on, as I assume now that we would continue on. I always wanted to do like a series of movies, so I assumed that we were going to do another one, a second one. So I don't know. It was nice to come back. You know, at that point, I know I missed you guys and missed the show and missed the character, and it was really nice to come back and to do it at, you know, you change as a person, you change as an actor, you change the character. You can't go back and play the guy the same way. From year to year, we couldn't play these guys the same way because we brought more human experience to it. So there's a 4 or 5 year gap where both Gillian and I are changing very much in our lives. So then we bring that to bear on these characters that are supposedly set in stone, and it's an interesting kind of a process.
Right. And how about for you, Gillian?
I guess, you know, I remember that I had another kid who was a year old at the time, and trying to conceive another while being up in Vancouver, knowing that I wanted to have a 2-year gap, and that was very much my focus. But also that we were going back up to Vancouver at the time, which was really nice, and I was excited about that. I was excited about spending time.
We had a lot
there.
of the same old crew.
Right.
I'm nostalgic.
Yeah, very, and the fact that Chris was doing it, and he had a very strong and emotional attachment to that script.
Yeah.
And I think it was very meaningful for him. And I remember feeling that I wanted to believe in it. I wanted to believe in it for him. And so it felt like it was quite unique, though. It felt very separate from the series somehow, but at the same time.
It felt like a standalone episode.
But did you feel it closed out the relationship between Mulder and Scully in any way? Or?
No.
No? No.
No, that doesn't end really.
Yeah.
That doesn't die, you know.
Eternal. I think that's a good point to go to audience questions. What we're going to do is when we choose you, there's going to be a person who has a microphone. They're going to come to you, and then you'll ask the question.
What was my second clip?
Well, we're going to, and I was about to say.
I just want to know.
Yeah. Well, no. And after we're done with the questions, we're going to show David's second clip.
Oh, okay.
We're going to show your second clip after the questions.
Really?
Because I think it's a nice note to end on.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. So you'll see.
Yeah,
But for now, let's go audience questions. So just wait until the microphone comes to you because.
Who's picking them? This is a lot of pressure.
I guess we are. How about this lady right here? Yes. Let's get the microphone.
You don't have a question?
Thanks for doing this, first of all. My question is for, obviously, you guys. It's been 20 years since the beginning. What do you think about the show, that it continues on? There are people on the live stream watching it from all over the world. And what do you think about the fans who continue to stick with you for 20 years? More fans, baby files, come in, and they discovered the show now.
Baby files?
Yeah, they're called baby files. But what do you guys think? Why do you think it's endured this long? And what do you have to say about the fans who continue to support?
I actually thought something the first time, just while standing in the line, doing press, that I'd never really thought about in this way before. But the fact that so much of the show was the beginning of appointment television. So it was families getting together on a specific night to watch it, and potentially, you know, maybe the only time in the week that they might get together and have meals together, and or friends gathering, new friends coming together to watch. I think that, you know, especially in light of where we find ourselves today, with everything being streamed and watched separately apart, people sitting in bed with their laptops watching an episode of something while their spouse is sitting next to them watching something else. I think that probably had a very big chemical, emotional, physiological impact on people, and I think that's what. And I think that's what endures. You know, it really is, and so that would be my take on it.
Do you have anything, David?
No, I mean, I was always just thankful and surprised that anybody watched in the first place, and that they continue to watch.
Let's go. Yes, okay. Right there. Why not? Yes.
I was over the ooh.
Yes. The ooh.
How was William conceived? The world wants to know.
Do I really have to explain this to you?
It began with, I think it was a bottle of red.
It's a miracle
Does it make
baby.
sense that it would have been during all things in terms of?
To a degree, yeah.
Elaborate.
It could have also been the miracle baby thing, you know, or it could have been.
That was no miracle.
Yeah. Let's. Yes, sir, right here. Yeah, and.
We
did.
don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know.
So, what might the Christmas presents have been?
In How the Ghost Stole Christmas.
What season was that?
6.
Yeah, well, I know what I needed.
Oh dear.
I don't think I got you that. What would have been? Can you give me like an astronaut thing once? Or like
The Apollo. You gave her the Apollo keychain, or
I already gave you that, so I can't give you that.
You gave Scully like something cylindrical. It was
I give her something cylindrical. I got her what she wanted.
I'm telling you.
Apparently, she told me what she wanted. And I got it.
Oh.
VHS.
Oh.
shape.
VHS shaped.
Oh.
The
I
old
know what that
Mulder
is.
porn thing. That was
you, I
a
didn't even
Glenn
remember
Morgan
that.
thing. Glenn Morgan was into the whole Mulder porn thing.
Yeah. Dear me. Okay, let's. That lady right up here. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
No.
Both? Okay. So you guys had a lot of cute moments as Mulder and Scully with touching and looks and hugs that were very intimate for the characters. So I wondered how much of that was scripted versus you guys in the moment feeling that it was right for the characters in the scene.
Well, at the very beginning, they wanted us to button scenes with looks together, you know, towards each other, which at the beginning I remember thinking, oh, you know, the director would say, oh, no, do another one, but remember you got to, like, look at each other at the end of that. Remember that? No? And then after a while, I think, as we, you know, started to get into the series and realize the...
Like that.
What?
A lot of that.
And realize the impact that did have in the audience response to those types of things. You know, potentially it was an opportunity to play.
I don't think it was written in the script. It was mostly us just doing it because it felt right in that moment. I don't think they really ever wrote touching or.
I think they wrote touching. I don't think they wrote that looks.
What kind of touching?
Well, like, you know.
Did I touch your hand?
I think so.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Okay. I think I know me, and if I read that I touch your hand,
You wouldn't
I'd be
have
like,
touched my
"Fuck you."
Yeah.
Wow.
Valid point.
Yeah. Let's go over here. This lady here.
Hi, my friend Kelly, who's watching online, she wanted me to ask, when you were filming, did one of you ever have a scene that the other wished they could have done instead or as well?
I really wanted to be strapped to that thing with a thing.
No, you didn't.
You didn't.
No, I know.
You didn't. You really didn't.
Yeah. Can you think of anything? Were you also in the slime? Did you want to like be in the slime cage?
Were you in the slime cage?
Apparently, yeah. Somebody told me that yesterday.
Well, I guess in the movie.
Was that in the movie?
Yeah.
Sounds kind of good.
Oh,
It was pretty slimy in there.
Oh, that, no, I wouldn't want to be in that thing? No, you can have that.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think the characters are so different, you know. I can't imagine, I couldn't imagine playing Scully or putting Mulder. That doesn't sound right. It wouldn't have occurred to me. You? Maybe? I don't know. You're thinking about it. Gillian might have an answer for you later.
We've got a question up over here.
I know a lot of this evening is Remember That, and so I just had a question. In the 9 years that you were filming The X-Files, were there any episodes or scenes that deeply disturbed you doing or reading? Or, I mean, there were some that really disturbed me. So.
I think you're more susceptible to that kind of stuff.
Not that I can remember.
No?
What would be an example?
I don't know.
No? Okay. There we go.
Sorry.
Gentleman up here. Yes.
We suck at this.
You're trying. It's good. Yeah.
How you doing? My name is Martin. I'm an X-Files fan for 17 years now. My question was...
Where were you the first 3 years? That's my question.
It seems that every episode was different, was very, very exciting. Chris Carter never seemed to run out of ideas. On the 9th season, was his decision to end the X-Files? Or
was the 9th
I mean,
season
for real fans, X-Files was great. Every episode. I never got bored of one episode. It was very exciting. I keep watching episodes.
But was the 9th season the one that...
Was Chris' ideas to end the...
I think it was over.
Idea?
No, I think it was Fox. Was it Fox?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of felt like, I mean, for me, it felt like it was time, you know. I felt like I wasn't sure whether I had any more in me. You know, I also think that there was still remained to be quite a lot of nostalgia for the way that it used to be, and hoping that somehow we'd find that again. And I think we found something different and valid and definitely watchable. But I think that that's a lot of what the fans were yearning for. I'm not sure whether that was returnable.
Okay. Let's go. Okay. Yes. Let's get the mic. Yeah.
Is there anything like that you personally have as a headcanon that Scully like has a habit or a guilty pleasure or anything that you know that the rest of us don't know? And same thing for Mulder.
That Scully has
yeah, like just anything that like you thought in your head or like, you know, a habit that you think but that we never got to find out.
That was never shot?
I mean, that I decided as an actor was part of her...
the character thing. You could just watch you ponder.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could tell you something.
Okay.
I guess sunflower seeds, you see that, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of see that. All right. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
All right. We'll move up to center here. Yes. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Yes, you. Yes, you.
First of all, thank you for existing. I was actually wondering, I was looking online the other day and there were some really funny photo shoots of you guys, and I was just wondering if you had any particular memory of a particular shoot being especially awkward, and like, do you cringe whenever you have to sign one of these photos?
There's one in particular which was a cover of an Entertainment Weekly, which is probably one of the worst covers that we've ever done. No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
The lick?
Anyway, the Entertainment Weekly was a bad... That was a good one. That was an outtake, the one for Us magazine, the lick.
And we said, let's do that.
Did we?
We
I think
said
you
it.
said let's do that. You said, how about Gillian licks my face?
That was
The
that
Rolling
was good.
Stone, yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice cover. You know what? I think we were always in such bad moods when we were doing that because those were on weekends and
Yeah.
times like we were so kind of overworked, or at least we felt that way. And on weekends,
Yeah.
we would have these photo shoots to do, and
I mean, even that Mark Seliger one, which
Both
was a
of us
great
just-
photo shoot. You look back
we
and,
just
you know, the
hated
one
it.
where I'm dressed in a
Yeah, those are
men's
great
suit, and I'm
pictures.
holding- those are great pictures, but I think we weren't in that good a mood
No,
that
we
day.
hated it. We hated it. And, because it's like all day. That's
Yeah.
that's your one moment off, and you're doing this stupid photo shoot.
Let's go to this gentleman right here in front. Oh, just wait for the mic.
Hi.
Oh, wait. There we go. Yeah.
I was just wondering, were there any scripts when you saw them, you were like, the audience is never going to go for that? Or like, we're about to jump the shark. Please, let's not shoot this.
Yeah. Yeah, jump the shark.
know about jump-
I don't know
and,
what that is. That's a weird thing.
Yeah, I don't think there was any of those, but there were certainly
Where's that
episodes where I thought, oh, really?
Look, you make 25 of those a year,
Yeah.
and it's amazing the batting average that the writers had. When you think about it, you can't make 25 standalone, movie-worthy hours of entertainment a year. You just can't do it, no matter how many. You had good writers in that room. We know that now, but you're gonna have some crap ones. You just can't help it. It's not humanly possible. Like now, you do cable, we do 12. You can do 12 good ones. You should do 12 good ones, but you can't do 25 great ones. Right?
Agree.
Yeah, that's too much. It's too much. Nobody should have to do 25 hours of television.
Let's go top right here. Yes.
Hi, this question is for David. I've heard in past interviews Gillian say that she has watched Californication and wished that she could be a guest star on it. But specifically, I was wondering, because Gillian had kind of a return to television recently. I got to watch The Fall and Hannibal. Very good. Have you watched her in either of those, and have you wished that you could have a guest spot with her on those shows?
Yes. I haven't seen The Fall. I hear it's great. Gillian and I, we've talked about acting together. I never thought it was. She was kidding about being on Californication. She knows that it wasn't right.
I was not kidding about Babe, but I understand his feelings about it, and I respect them. Not that I had any control over it.
No,
I don't understand.
No, we're kind of like we feel like a little caretaking of the Mulder and Scully. So we'd be careful of. It's not just because I want to hang out with Gillian or I want to be on that show. It would have to be more than that. It would have to be something really special or different. It just can't be kind of like, oh, just feel like doing that or.
No, but the idea that come on, it's like a Scully impersonating stripper that you have sex with. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
Take off my pastel suit.
I don't know what
It's too
show
late
you
now.
were watching.
Anyway.
We're going to do one more question and then get to David's last clip. So, sure. She was
I
reaching
know,
out.
I know.
A question for Gillian. You did the Reddit Q&A this morning, and you mentioned that over the years there have been a number of women who have sort of expressed to you that Scully encouraged them to consider science as an option for women. Was that something you were aware of that was happening while you were doing the show, or was it something you became aware of in the process of it? And either way, did it sort of imbue a new kind of responsibility on you, or was it something you were thinking about as you were sculpting Scully?
Definitely not something that I was thinking about, but I remember doing, there was a period where I was doing interviews and people were telling me that a statistic had just come out, or that they, in some kind of textbook, it had referred to the Scully effect and the fact that the increase of women going into science and had increased exponentially, and I thought that was really awesome, and I don't think it had any impact on me per se, but there was a certain pressure, you know, as in a good way. I think of as a young actress feeling that you know, I needed to behave myself in a way, you know, that I needed to figure out what my intentions were, what my focus would and could be. In terms of the type of person I was going to be, and the type of, you know, and how I wanted to live my life, and I veered off that a little bit over the years, but I think there was a point where it occurred to me that maybe I needed to pay attention to that a little bit.
Okay, we're going to watch David's final clip now, and I am going to introduce this one a little bit more and just ask him why he chose it up front, because I think you'll know which one it is when I tell you. It's the time Mulder and Scully danced together in postmodern Prometheus. And let me ask you why you chose that particular clip.
I just always liked it. You know, there's some scenes that I remember watching that had emotional import. You know, not kind of a created emotional import, but just something that happened over the years and just seemed to work visually. And I just liked it in black and white, and I liked that it turned into a comic book at the end, and it was just kind of like, to me, it seemed like that could be a good final image. You know, if there's ever a final image, that would be it, that we turn into some kind of comic book, and that, you know, it's that moment where, you know, I take her hand and ask her to dance.
I think it's a good final image to end on, so let's roll it.
There's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the jungle room. When I was walking in Memphis, I was walking with my feet 10 feet off a field. Walking in Memphis, do I really feel the way I feel?
Tell me something, is it hard to love these babies?
What's not to love?
Suede shoes.
David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson. Thank you.